Scott Burnside, ESPN.com, alongside my good friend and colleague Pierre LeBrun, and spectacular day in Sochi, Russia.
What a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place. But before we talk about Sochi, let's go back 4 years and
to another beautiful place.
To another beautiful place, Vancouver. 4 years ago, we are hard on the fourth anniversary of, for me, one of the greatest hockey days I've ever been part of. The gold medal game, Vancouver, 2010, Canada-US. I've never been in a building that felt quite that anxious, dramatic. What do you think of when you think of that game on that Sunday 4 years ago?
Well, I certainly remember that morning waking up, since we shared a hotel room, Scott, and finding pepperoni sticks in my shoes, which was your tradition during those Olympics, and you're lucky you're still alive today because of that. But in all seriousness, I just remember the whole day, and it was an early game with the time difference, and the anticipation to puck drop, walking to the rink in Vancouver from our hotel, and the sea of red. The fans had already taken over the streets in anticipation of a hope at gold medal for the locals, and it was just unbelievable when the players for both Team USA and Team Canada hit the ice at what today is called Rogers Arena. It was unreal, absolutely electric.
Now, you and I sitting next to each other in the press tribune, talk about that emotion when Zach Parise scores to tie the game in the last minute. Ryan Miller on the bench. I remember sort of, for me, it was completely different than, say, the quarterfinal game against Russia, where Canada dominated, and that building was, you felt it was going to come off its foundations. I don't think anyone breathed for about the last hour in Hockey House, Hockey Place on that Sunday afternoon.
It was quite tense. In a country of 35+ million holding its breath, I think, after Zach Parise tied. I remember punching you on the shoulder because I just couldn't believe what an amazing moment we had just witnessed with the young underdog American team tying the game, and we were going to get overtime. That was, Sidney Crosby's golden goal is the moment we're all going to remember, because, of course, who else would score the goal for Canada? But Parise tying it was pretty darn close to a special moment.
Now, we've gathered material as we head into the 4-year anniversary, an oral history of that golden day, the golden goal. What strikes you? What has come up during your interviews with players and coaches and people connected to that game that maybe surprises you or sticks with you?
Yeah, two for me. One, Mike Babcock, again, the head coach of Team Canada here, but he was the head coach for the first time in those Olympics. And when Parise tied that game for Team USA, a pretty tense Team Canada, and going into the dressing room between third period and overtime, you talk to a lot of players that tell you about the speech from Mike Babcock, who essentially says, hey, what an opportunity to be heroes in our home country. Go out and grab it. I mean, I'm making it pretty short. It was longer than that. But essentially, it really resonated in that Canadian dressing room. And if you know Mike Babcock, not surprising, he's a very uplifting, positive guy and gets the most out of his players that way. But the other interview I did was with Joe Pavelski of Team USA, who said once in a while he thinks back to his shot in overtime from the high slot that hit Roberto Luongo high, and he kind of bobbled it. Joe Pavelski almost was the golden goal scorer himself, and he thinks about that.
That's true. For me, I talked to Dan O'Halloran, one of the two referees in that day, Bill McCreary being the other. And when Dan O'Halloran got the assignment to referee the gold medal game, he was so overcome with emotion, he had to go up to his hotel room with his son Devin, his wife. And for me, that tells you a lot about the emotion of not just that day, but any of these kinds of events, the Olympics and the NHL involvement. And then second, talking to Brooks Orpik, Sidney Crosby's teammate, talking about the despair, really, of having a silver medal put around his neck after losing the gold medal game. He says, it's counterintuitive, right? So many athletes who would do anything to get a silver medal at the Olympics. Instead, he felt terrible about having that medal put around his neck.
Because he's a hockey player, and you win the Stanley Cup, you don't win the silver medal.
Yes. Okay, you mixed your metaphors, but that's okay. And then had to ride home on the private jet with Sidney Crosby and his gold medal. But that was it. That's a great thing about that game. Memories that will last a lifetime for anyone who's connected to it, whether you watch it on television or live or a part of it. So, thank you. And for you, we appreciate your staying with ESPN.com for your Olympic coverage. For Pierre LeBrun, I'm Scott Burnside, Sochi, Russia.